Good morning, everybody. I just thought of something after doing that last video that it's really important, this step. And a lot of people don't get taught this, and it's something that you probably learn as you're quilting and as you're going along. I'm not sure whether any of you have ever noticed, but sometimes you get a quilt and as you're quilting, you start quilting and you're quilting along, and then you get to the bottom and you're on your last row of quilting or your last pass of quilting, depending what you're doing, and you get like a bow. So it sort of looks like a curve like this. So your corner's down here and it looks okay, but as you come along, the center dips up a little bit and then it comes back down again. Well, the one thing that causes that, and this is mostly for long arm quilters, not domestic machine quilters or sit down quilting, because we have our quilts loaded into the machine and we've got leader rolls and we try to keep them as smooth as possible without getting puckers and all that sort of stuff, a lot of people get quite heavy-handed with their leader rolls. So I have to go up the other end where my machine is to roll the quilt, okay? So what happens is I end up getting up the top one, which is this one just here that I'm touching now. I wind that and the quilt will wind out over on it, and this bottom one tends to go this way. Okay, what happens when you get to a quilt, bottom of the quilt, and you've got that bow in it? What has happened is you've been too heavy-handed with your top leader roll. So basically what you want to do is take a little bit of slack off that. So when you're standing up the other end and you're winding it, which most machines, that's how you do it, and that's the safest way to do it, as opposed to leaning over your quilt, because you could strain your back. So the safest way to do it is to be standing at the end, and I'm going to duck up the end to show you where I stand and how I do it, and hopefully the machine won't be in the way. But what I do is I come up here and I stand directly here, so you can see that I'm in line with my frame, and basically I just wind the things. So I've just put some extra wrap on that and not let the bottom one move. So that's pulled that really tight. You don't want to do that. You want to take some of the slack off, and the way to know if you're okay with that is your top bar and the bar that is underneath down the bottom here should be in line with each other. This one should not be sitting out towards the quilt at all. If it's doing that, you've got too much pressure on it and you're going to get that bow in the bottom of your quilt. Now, while some people really wouldn't worry about it if it was their own quilt, they'll go, oh, well, I'll know better next time. Hopefully that can help you not get that to that point at all, because there's nothing you can do. Once you've quilted all that quilt and you've got that bow in it, it's there. Okay, some of them might be just slightly there, others might be more prominent. So you just want to be careful of that. So you don't want it to be so tight that there's no, see how that's got a little bit of bounce? It's not really tight, but it's still smooth. I've still got enough tautness on there, okay? So it's a little bit of bounce, and that's what you want. You don't want it so tight that, see how there's no movement there? See, I can touch that and it's not bouncing. But if I let that, and this bar has moved now, and so it's not even. So you can see I'm not even touching, I'm touching the bottom one, but I'm not touching the top one. So that's going to give you that bow, and you don't want that. So you just let it off a bit, okay? So you can see how much there's the tightness, and then I've let it off again. So if you look at the quilt while I'm doing that, and then now I touch this bar and I'm touching this bar. I'm hitting both. So I know that it is okay. And I've still got the drape and I've still got the weight there to keep a nice smooth finish. You can see that that's smooth, okay? You just got to remember, if you've got a little bit of stuff there, you just smooth it out like this. Do not pull your quilt top, just your wadding to get that smoothness, okay? And that's just a little tip, and I learnt the hard way on that one, because one of my customers' quilt ended up with quite a bow in it when I first started, and I was so devastated for the woman. Luckily, she was very understanding that I was a beginner, and she was very gracious, and she still comes to see me today, and we've, you know, worked together for a very long time. I've done about 50 of her quilts now, and she loves the fact that I'd done one of her very first quilts as well, and we've been on this quilting journey together. So that's just one tip. So just be very careful of that you don't put too much pressure onto your backing and your wadding. Yes, you want a smooth surface, but you don't want to get to the end of your quilt and have that bow in it. It was just one thing I thought about after I loaded the quilt in, that if I had have got that tip when I first started, it would have saved me so much stress about that first quilt that it happened to. And, you know, any little tip can help out, especially when you're beginning. So happy quilting, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.